各位国人同胞，大家好。今天中国在台湾周边进行实弹射击演习。
For many months now, China has been demonstrating the growing importance of the Taiwan question. The necessity for the island to rejoin continental China, not necessarily in a peaceful manner, is a recent change in the PRC's rhetoric. And the West, and especially the US, are not just taking note, but anticipating a possible confrontation. In this video, we'll take a look at 6 scenarios for how the Chinese invasion of Taiwan might unfold. Scenario 1. A blockade of Taiwan.
A blockade, of course, not in the name only, which will allow the Chinese to control all the traffic, air traffic and the sea traffic to Taiwan, to exercise the sovereignty over the island in this way, and of course control access of the weaponry deliveries. In this way, show Taiwanese they have no chance. But this strategy have one flaw. What if Americans decide to call Chinese bluff? What if they're gonna to send the fleet? Well, Chinese will start shooting. They try to sink American ships. It means war. So this scenario can very quickly evolve or escalate to full war, but this is the scenario which Chinese don't control. It means initiative is on the American side because Chinese set up the blockade and have to wait. In this case, they lose any advantages which one could give them the active side to have the initiative.
Scenario 2. The salami strategy.
Salami strategy describes that Chinese will try to test Taiwanese and Americans. They will try to maybe see small island offshore of the main island or offshore Taiwan, or maybe one bigger islands near to the continental China. But in this scenario, it's again the same problem from Beijing. Yeah? They try to test, but they don't know what will be the answer. What if they seize Pratas Island, for example, and Americans land its forces on the Taiwan? Attacking Taiwan in this moment means war with the US. So, in my opinion, it's also not good strategy because it's uncontrollable by the Beijing. Of course, the Chinese are hoping that Americans will not react, and it will means total demoralization of the Taiwanese. And in this way, the Chinese could go forward with the favorite scenario, in which one is quick occupation.
Scenario 3. Quick occupation.
Quick occupation is the favorite scenario for Chinese. It means they will send its amphibious landing forces on Taiwan, but they will not meet resistance or very limited resistance, mainly very symbolic from the Taiwanese. The Americans will not react. They will let them do whatever they want, and it means Chinese will land on the island, they will face minimal resistance, and all the occupation will result with the minimal damage to the infrastructure and everything what they would like to possess on the island. Of course, I think this scenario is very unlikely. It could require completely disinterestment from the other players in the area. It means Americans will do nothing. The allies in the region will not push Americans to do anything. The likeliness for this scenario is very wishful thinking from the Beijing. They believe they could make the fait accompli in this situation, but the international reality is like that no one will allow them to do it without fight.
Scenario 4. A full-scale war.
Yes, the full-scale invasion or full-scale war. This scenario is the most dreadful. It means total invasion or actually total war, because in this case Chinese know they cannot hope for no reaction from the US. They know that attacking in Taiwan or pushing Taiwan, it means war with the US. So they decided they will want to use the advantages to be the one active side, and in this case they decide to attack. They will attack not only Taiwan, but also US forces in the region, also in Japan, on Okinawa, also Diego Garcia, Guam in the region, just to hit Americans very strongly, to knock out their forces in the region, to have the free hand on Taiwan, and at the same time hoping that meantime they can occupy Taiwan, and hoping that afterwards Americans will give up, because they will know that fighting with the Chinese, trying to liberate the island, will be very damaging task, will be very difficult. In this way could give the opening for the negotiations. The question of the likelihood of this kind of scenario is always very risky to say, because on one hand it seems very logical scenario. If we assume that Americans are not going to give up and want to stay superpower, it means they cannot let Chinese take Taiwan. So it means war. From the logical point of view, you want to use any advantages you have, so strike first and strike hard. It's logical in this perspective. But at the same time, it means total war with the US and its allies, and I think this decision is very difficult to take by anyone, even the current leadership in Beijing. So it means China have to be really cornered to do it. Cornered by its own doing, mainly very difficult, hard domestic situation, economical, in which something what will distract population from fighting with the Communist Party. I could call this the last resort to keep CCP on the power. Then, if they feel they have no other option, like total war, to keep power, this is what they could do.
Scenario 5. Internal destabilization.
Beijing can try also use the scenario in which one try to destabilize island from inside, use its proxies on the island to destabilize politically, economically, socially, to make the Chinese government in the very peculiar situation in which they have to all use the force to pacify Chinese proxies on the island, or let them run amok. But of course the scenario also it's required first for China to have very big resources, proxies on the island, and willingness of these proxies to go for some very risky scenario like that, and also required for US to stay idle. The part of this operation could be also cognitive warfare, disinformation, cyber attacks.
Scenario 6. The hybrid scenario.
The hybrid scenario is the scenario in which one there will be parts of the other scenarios. So we can assume that before any invasion, whatever will be the full-scale invasion or the quick occupation, China would like to destabilize island internally. The part of this can be kind of blockade or partial blockade, etc., etc. This scenario gives the Beijing opportunity to escalate and to control the escalation. So I think from this perspective it can be attractive for them. The problem with the scenario is that in one moment they're going to lose control over the escalations. And the other side, not only Taiwanese but also Americans, will be involved, and this can very quickly get out of hand.
Numerous comments and analysis look at a variety of hypothetical dates for the possible invasion. Some are symbolic, like the centennial anniversary of the People's Liberation Army in 2027. However, trying to put a date on a possible confrontation could backfire.
I think we shouldn't try to guess any specific time when it can happen. Of course, we can say, and many specialists say, the Chinese army, PLA, People's Liberation Army, will be ready after 2027 for the total war or for the invasion of Taiwan. But it doesn't mean that it's going to happen then. This will be political decision, and the political calendar will determine if it's going to happen then or later. So I would like to stress the more important is to look for the triggers. This is what can trigger Beijing leaders to try to escalate in the Taiwan Strait, to maybe prepare invasion or be ready for the total war with the US, because we have to assume that any of the scenarios sooner or later will escalate to the total war. So for this is the domestic situation. Crisis, serious economical, social and political crisis, which one will create real danger to the CCP power or to the power of the current leadership in Beijing inside the CCP system, political system. So if and only if party feels threatened to its legitimacy to rule over the China, they can decide for the very risky operation like invasion of Taiwan, which one could escalate very quickly to the total war with the US. Although the triggers are internal, but there is also the international situation. The other partners, other players in the region are increasing their preparedness. They buying more weapons, they develop their own systems, they modernize armies. So the advantages which one Chinese PLA is gonna to get, let's say, after this 2027, the gap will start quickly closing. So it's also maybe the pressure of the time will be the factor for the Beijing, but it will be only one of the factors, not decisive one.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the region.